With decades worth of UFO and alien sightings, the discussion about alien existence has long concluded, especially after they appeared in the most unexpected places. Tune in to witness UFOs and aliens
I hear him. Where's she at?
that were discovered in the most unexpected places.
The oceans are about as remote a place as you can get on this planet. If you want to conduct yourself on a world secretly without a lot of interference, it's actually ideal.
What the is it?
We think aliens will only emerge from the sky, but what if they've already set camp at the most mysterious place on the Earth, the ocean? We all know there's a lot of the sea that we've yet to explore, so it would make sense why extraterrestrials might have made their bases there. But it seems like they're no longer hiding, as this was seen calmly floating over the surface by the Golden Gate Bridge. As residents watched in shock and awe, the space boat continued its journey.
What the is it?
Rotators in sync.
What we're dealing with here is very clearly advanced technology. So we have to draw the conclusion that perhaps this is some sort of extraterrestrial technology that we're dealing with.
While flying over Central Africa, one airplane passenger noticed a group of bright orbs hovering over the clouds. Now, it's easy to chalk these off as some sort of reflections, but then they begin moving. And you know these aren't just light bulbs. These are bright UFOs that have control over their movement. It's also unusual how they all seem to be rotating differently and yet manage to portray a giant triangle every time they come closer. What if this is how some triangle UFOs look? Maybe they've been flying in this formation all this time. If only we'd had more clues about what on earth these orbs are. The Wadden Sea Mystery.
What we're seeing is a true UFO. And in fact, what's so interesting about this footage is it has now been confirmed by the Pentagon that it is actual Navy filmed footage.
A Dutch television show was recording the Wadden Sea when it accidentally captured a strange sight. Something whizzes across the horizon, disappearing so quickly that it would have gone unnoticed if it weren't for the television show. The camera crew and producers were naturally quite confused. So they slowed up the tape, and this is what they found. Some sort of object that's used to flying high, but one that's not from this world. Can you imagine how many more such UFOs are out there that go undetected because we're not aiming our cameras there? Arabian flight. In the Arabian desert in Saudi Arabia, a tourist who'd lost their way stumbled upon this, right in the middle of the remote terrain where no one would even imagine staying for more than a few minutes. Was an extraterrestrial craft, and one that was entertaining visitors. As the alien creatures returned to their base and shut themselves in, the UFO geared up and was gone in the blink of an eye. As insane as it looks, it explains why we can't track UFOs. They keep stationing in remote, isolated destinations, where they know no one's going to look. Silver Cruiser.
Now, there have been countless UFO sightings over the years, but many experts consider this next piece of footage the gold standard.
Calmly cruising over the sky, this was spotted by a boater. Just by the whirring alone, he initially thought it was just a plane flying above, or maybe some sort of drone. But as it inched closer and closer, shining in all its glory, it was clear that this wasn't some human marvel. As unbelievable as it sounds, this was an extraterrestrial visitor, one who wasn't shy of showing off its existence. The boater uploaded the video, leading to a flurry of comments. Some netizens couldn't help but notice how the UFO resembled various depictions of biblically accurate angels. But that has to be a coincidence, right? The Night Stalker.
Oh, whoa. What is that?
If you've always wondered how a UFO looks up close, well, there you have it. In plain glory and full view, as if no longer masking behind a flimsy cover, this UFO's got some business to do. It was observed flying over a town in Peru, which has allegedly been flocked by UFOs for quite a while now. It would have been easy to chalk this off as just a drone, but since we're seeing it up close, we know it's something that flew in from outer space. What I'm worried about aren't the UFOs, but the creatures manning whatever sort of steering wheel they've got inside.
Yo, that's a UFO for sure.
A missed landing.
And people, there is no known Earth technology that can do that.
This was recorded and released by an anonymous whistleblower, just a couple of short miles from the Area 51 base in Nevada. The UFO had planned to land directly on the base, but missed the landing by a couple of degrees and ended up landing here in the middle of the remote area. The video cut off too quickly for us to see what's inside, but let's be honest here. It's not like we want to know what's inside. As much as we're excited by the idea of seeing extraterrestrials, who knows what they're capable of? But at least we know Area 51 is more than just a crazy rumor. Starstruck.
Not crazy, man. Not crazy, man. What the fuck is this in the sky?
At first glance, you'd think this is just some foggy streetlights, but that's where you're wrong, and realize, whatever this is, it's got alien written all over it. It was captured in Louisiana by a resident who was naturally freaking out.
What the is that? I need an explanation,
and only uploaded this in the hopes that someone would be able to figure out what on earth this thing is. A few have quipped in, believing it's just some sort of stadium lights. Still, the man refused this because there wasn't any in the area. Plus, as he zoomed in, you could spot that this was some sort of craft hovering over the neighborhood, with God knows what intentions.
2, 3, 4, 5 different lights on it.
Forested away.
These strange humanoid figures were much bigger than human beings and appeared to be wearing helmets of some sort.
Somewhere in a remote part of China is a forest that has long been shut off to the public. The reason has never been revealed, which is why a couple of explorers decided to sneak in and explore, thinking it might be housing some dangerous creatures or even a secret artillery, but never knew they'd stumble upon this. As their camera secretly recorded everything, the UFO, plain in sight, proves that aliens have been visiting us for decades and are probably way too comfortable. But it looks like these extraterrestrials sensed the danger, immediately standing still, hoping they'd be mistaken as cleverly designed mannequins. But we're on to them. Spaced out.
We took a look at thermal signatures of birds and various other objects, and it doesn't match anything like this. And there you go. It's unidentified.
When something like this starts openly showing itself over the skies, you know we're coming closer and closer to the alien apocalypse. It's one thing to see something suspicious floating over the sky, and it's another when this very flyer looks a little too suspiciously close to the Borg cube from Star Trek. Naturally, the sighting has caused quite the panic, with many wondering if this means we'll be welcoming aliens in just a few days. Even experts weighed in, claiming they'd got no idea what this could be. Some believe it's a satellite. If it is, someone wanted us all to freak out. Gone with the wind. It's crazy to think UFOs are regularly making a landing zone out of Earth, and we're simply too busy in our lives to look around. It is believed this was recorded by a farmer in Ukraine who disappeared quickly after the video was uploaded. People say he hid himself out of fear of the authorities. But more and more believe it's possible the alien seen here later apprehended him. Even though it flew away, there's no way of confirming it didn't come back to clear traces of its presence. Castle Rock incident. This happened just a few weeks ago in Castle Rock, Colorado. You'll have to strain a bit to look, but there's some sort of alien aircraft that's being tailed by a jet, which at least tells us the military was aware something was going on. Just as it inched closer, an explosion, and it looks like whatever the object was, it was destroyed by the jet, which quickly disappeared too. Now, this is pretty terrifying because if there was a UFO that tried to enter our airspace, why wouldn't the military capture it? What was it hiding that prompted the military to react this way? Blue Beam Project. The Blue Beam Project is a conspiracy theory, according to which the government will use advanced technology to take over the world. Many believe the Blue Beam Project will use alien tech, so we've got no clue what's coming. While there's not much to prove the Blue Beam Project exists, this was recorded just a couple of weeks ago. And even though it sounds insane to imagine, it looks like the Blue Beam Project has already started. Scarily, this isn't the only time something like this was noticed. Let's just hope we're all prepared for what comes next. Orb oddity.
Look.
Wondering what this thing is? It's not a hot air balloon or a blimp like you'd think. It's something that has even the UFO community baffled because they can't seem to figure out what type of UFO it is. Its distinct appearance might not be the only thing that sets it apart from other UFOs. Some even believe this looks a bit too much like the Scion pods in Dragon Ball Z. And if we think about it, since Scions were aliens, who are to say this isn't some sort of Scion alien race visiting Earth? Skyscraper. It's crazy to think UFOs like these are flying up above the sky right now, but we're unable to see them because we're not up there with them. And yet, just as this one was making its debut, one passenger was lucky enough to capture it soaring in the sky. That's not the only crazy thing about this. While it's not unusual to see weird objects when you're flying, this one was later spotted from the surface, and the close-up tells us this isn't just some crazily shaped balloon. It even looks like it's got a couple of modern cameras shoved up in there. Well, that's oddly uncomfortable. Sky Slider. Captured by a frantic resident in Dallas, Texas, this UFO has been driving UFO enthusiasts crazy ever since it first made its appearance a month ago. Its sleek figure, easily able to cut through the sky, is exactly why most refuse to believe this could just be a drone. If it was a drone, we would be seeing more and more of this. But since this is the only clip we've got, it means whatever this object is, quickly finished whatever business it came to do and flew off. And of course, even though it's made the rounds on the internet, the authorities haven't piped a word. The Black Knight. Who says we're the only ones keeping an eye on Earth? Conspiracists believe there's a satellite out there with extraterrestrial origin, named the Black Knight, that has been routinely monitoring the Earth and even shows up on the radar a few times, but NASA is purposely covering up its entire existence. Like most conspiracy theories, the Black Knight satellite has long been ignored, but it's time we open up our eyes, as this was spotted hovering over the sky in multiple cities across the U.S. If you still think this could be anything but an alien craft, wait till you see what pops out of it. Undeniable, right? Space conveyance.
What is that truck actually carrying?
We go on and on about how Area 51 is storing aliens and their crafts. But what if that destination is just a ruse? Maybe they do store alien spaceships there, but when the public turns its eyes, they quickly transport it to an even more classified destination. Now, I know this is shaking a couple of things up, but one resident in Nevada captured a truck hauling away what looks like an alien spaceship. Sure, you could argue it's part of a secret government spaceship project too, but that only proves the authorities are really keeping in contact with the aliens and possibly have them under their hold. A stitch in time. Well, that does it, folks. Aliens are no longer just a myth. We're actually seeing them in real life, and that can only mean one thing. We've got a short time to sort ourselves out. While these aliens are clearly in trouble, it looks like they're not that bothered by a broken spaceship and are actively working to fix it. But how did we get a hold of a video like this? This was filmed by a secret camera that was mounted on a tree in a forest in China, which has prompted many to wonder if the nation has been welcoming aliens in secret for decades. Mexican rumble. This is what the authorities aren't telling us. All around the world, mysterious aircraft are making an appearance, with the recent one cruising over the sky in Mexico, somewhere over its dense forests, clearly not expecting to be recorded. And yet, a couple of locals managed to get a good look anyway, and one even captured its descent. As it momentarily landed on the ground for a few seconds, the men tried to chase it, but it was too quick for them and literally kept them on their toes. Whatever it was, it didn't want us to know its identity. The Mothership.
Oh, hell no. That's crazy.
The Mothership, a concept we've always entertained in sci-fi movies, but is more than what Hollywood paints. This happened just a couple of months ago in Hungary, and although there have been many explanations as to what it could be, the jury's still out. Some speculated it could be a ride at some adventure park, but there's not one in the area where this was filmed. Then you've got the It's Just CGI group, but this idea was also quickly debunked. That leaves us with one option. This is a giant UFO, clearly miscalculating its altitude and probably hoping the clouds would help cover it.
Oh, hell no. That's crazy.
Metamorphosis. We've got to hand it to the aliens. They keep coming up with creative ways to escape our suspicion, and here's yet another stunt they've pulled. That's right, this airplane transformed into a spaceship right in front of our eyes, and honestly, it explains how we keep on losing sight of most UFO sightings. What if all of them have this ability? UFO one moment, plane the next. But here's even crazier food for thought. Many believe this might be part of a secret government project aimed at mixing in with the aliens so we could find out more about them. Whatever the truth is, it confirms one thing: aliens are more than just a story. Chilean reptile alien. It looks like aliens exploited the pandemic. While we were all forced to spend our days in isolation, the streets were being run by mysterious creatures, some even brave enough to dash across backyards as this one did in Chile. If we think about it, we've been pondering alien life for so long that it only makes sense to think they're already here. And if they've been hiding out for so long, it's only natural to appear when there's no one looking. These alien creatures haven't been seen since the pandemic, but the question is, what if they're still here? Real-life Predatus.
5 feet tall. He had a dark brown appearance, very ruddy appearance to his skin.
There's a theory that the Earth we live in is just one of many more in the universe. Earth 616 is a fictional universe that has been referenced several times in comics, but it looks like it might have been real all this time. One of the many alien residents of Earth 615 includes the Predatus, an alien being with red, scaly skin and a bulbous head. Of course, like the comics, Predatus was nothing more than fiction, and yet we're seeing one in real life. It is believed this Predatus was captured and brought to Area 51 several decades ago, and might have inspired the fictional character. Tiny Terrors.
The hell is it? That is insane. Look, it's just disappeared.
We're afraid of aliens invading our homes. But what if they've already ticked this off the list? Who says aliens have to be 8-10 feet? Maybe there are alien beings that only measure a few inches, making it even easier for them to disguise themselves in our homes. You'd think this is all just a bunch of humbug, but it's not too far off from the truth. This isn't the only time a mysterious creature was spotted. Another creature, one of a similar size but perhaps belonging to a different breed of aliens, was seen too. This makes you rethink everything we've learned about the aliens.
The hell is it? That is insane. Look, it's just disappeared.
The Chinese conundrum. Appearing for only a short few seconds, this saucer-shaped UFO has stirred the UFO community. It was spotted back in 2020 when most of the world was locked up in their homes. which might explain why this one was flying so shamelessly out in the open sky. It probably didn't expect to be seen, but little did it know one Chinese resident would capture it. Now, here's the tricky part. Since this was filmed in China, it has sparked a controversial claim that perhaps the pandemic was just a cover for aliens to enter Earth and settle in closely. A missed glimpse. What you're about to see will blow your mind. As a Russian hunter tried to mount his camera to help him track wild animals, an inhuman creature emerged behind him. Its body was sleek and tall, but with not an ounce of life. Nothing to suggest it's there save for the brief outline you can make as it quickly dashed across. This may be an alien race that's capable of becoming invisible, or refracting sunlight in such a way that they seem invisible to us. And if they're out in our forests, it's only a matter of time they make themselves visible. Ebony Mystery.
You guys see that shadow? Where?
What if the skies are filled with alien crafts that have somehow mastered the art of hiding in plain sight? You'd think this is just a crazy myth, but when you see a shadow, that giant hovering over a mountain, you've got to wonder if we're simply refusing to look beyond the obvious. There may be a giant aircraft somewhere up there, somehow able to mask its presence, but still refusing to budge under the sun. Well, there's that theory, and there's also the one that suggests the mountain has simply been burned by a blast from a spaceship. And since we know our spaceships aren't that careless, who else could it be? Chile's secret. What if the pandemic was just a cover-up for something out of this world? Yes, it sounds diabolical. But when you see what kind of creatures were lurking outside while we were all cooped in our homes, you might think this is more than just a conspiracy theory. A resident of a small town in Chile snuck out during the pandemic and ended up finding this oddball resting on the ground. Perhaps this ungodly creature had finally decided to step out of its comfort zone, or maybe it had just crash-landed there. But it seems like it didn't appreciate the attention and was ready to take some action, prompting the smart person to quickly dip. Cave dweller.
Yo, I think we're seeing some aliens.
The next time you're out on a hike, you might want to be on the lookout because you never know if an alien is hiding somewhere close by. A hiker managed to record this somewhere over the Appalachian Mountains, and it's some sort of alien creature. Why? While a few have wondered if it could be a lost person, this cave has no way of reaching it. Even if you were to rappel down to it, it doesn't seem worth it. But if you've got a small aircraft that could silently move in, who wouldn't use a place like that?
Yo, I think we're seeing some aliens.
Russia's mystery. In October 2021, just as the world was still adjusting to the lockdowns, something unusual appeared over the skies in Russia. Now, before you go on to say it's just a blimp, or perhaps some sort of hot air balloon, that is what most residents initially believed too. However, this theory was quickly debunked because no company ever took responsibility. It's also creepy how this object decided to station itself over one spot as if it was scanning the whole area. And when you look at how it looks from up close, you can't argue that this is an alien visitor. Spectre trouble. About 2 years ago, this strange sight welcomed residents in Minneapolis. The dark sky had split open, inviting an odd fleet of bright orbs that seemed to be dancing along the wide split. Initially, locals assumed this was an elaborate drone show or even a hologram, but the idea soon dwindled as they realized these were UFOs appearing out of another dimension. It is believed the bright light is some sort of portal that aliens use to quickly travel to and from Earth. But what they want with us is truly anyone's guess. Unexpected roommate. It's about time we come to terms with a reality where aliens and humans coexist, because more and more evidence is piling up that suggests aliens are here, living among us, and all we can do is accept it. This one managed to sneak into a residential home in California and was only captured on one of the security cameras. The craziest part is that nobody knows what happened to this creature because this video is the only proof it ever existed, and no one's owning up to the video, making it even more suspicious. The secret meeting. While we're out here racking our brains about alien existence, it seems like some government officials have already made friends. After all, we've been hearing all about the authorities having contact with the aliens. So why wouldn't they be chummy? But as we skip over the pleasantries, this encounter raises a lot of questions. If we're already friendly with the aliens, why not make it public? And if we can't make it public, does it mean there's something chaotic coming up and we can only brace ourselves? It is believed this is a gray alien, one of the most intelligent alien species, and that alone should terrify us. Luminous fleet. One UFO is terrifying enough, but a whole fleet of them? It has to be up there with other nightmarish situations. As this fleet encircled a neighborhood in Chile, one resident couldn't help but film it. This wasn't the neighborhood's first rodeo. The residents had been seeing these bright orbs mysteriously appear for quite a while, but they always managed to vanish before they'd got it on camera. Save for this time, a few think it could just be a drone fleet, but who would go to all that length to fly just over a regular neighborhood? Sky Slider. Captured by a frantic resident in Dallas, Texas, this UFO has been driving UFO enthusiasts crazy ever since it first made its appearance a month ago. Its sleek figure, easily able to cut through the sky, is exactly why most refuse to believe this could just be a drone. If it was a drone, we would be seeing more and more of this. But since this is the only clip we've got, it means whatever this object is quickly finished whatever business it came to do and flew off. And of course, even though it's made the rounds on the internet, the authorities haven't piped a word. The Black Knight. Who says we're the only ones keeping an eye on Earth? Conspiracists believe there's a satellite out there with extraterrestrial origin, named the Black Knight, that has been routinely monitoring the Earth and even shows up on the radar a few times, but NASA is purposely covering up its entire existence. Like most conspiracy theories, the Black Knight satellite has long been ignored, but it's time we open up our eyes, as this was spotted hovering over the sky in multiple cities across the U.S. If you still think this could be anything but an alien craft, wait till you see what pops out of it. Undeniable, right? A forced angle. If aliens are hiding in our homes, we won't know they're there until they slip up, and when that happens, who knows how we'll react? This video has been on the internet for a couple of months, and so far, no one knows where it originated or who recorded it. Many think the uploader was possessed by the alien and was forced to make it look like the aliens were in trouble, when in fact, he's the one in trouble. So, there's a chance that someone out there is being held hostage by an alien. Sky Scepter. It seems China is a hot spot for anything strange and alien, because after receiving extraterrestrial visitors, its skies are now splitting open into another dimension. Interdimensional travel might sound like a joke, but when you've got something this high and mighty brazenly embrace the sky, you know you're done for. The residents recorded this spectacle, and good for them too, because news and government agencies just chalked it off to some sort of reflection. But there isn't a high-rise building around this one, and something is afoot for them to try to cover it up. Parallelocraft. It's pretty common to spot strange things in the sky, but something that suggests interdimensional travel exists? Yep, that's something you can't file away for later. When witnesses first spotted this unusually bright anomaly, they were convinced it was some sort of airplane contrails, or perhaps debris from a rocket. But this quickly changed when they noticed what this mysterious light did next, transforming into a rounded object as if opening up a portal. While we can't see on the other side, it's not too crazy to think some spaceship or even some invisible creature used this window to get back home. Double trouble. These two aliens had allegedly been haunting a Brazilian resident for a couple of weeks before he finally decided to catch them red-handed. Almost instantly, the aliens didn't appreciate being recorded and were seeking a way out. It seems like they might have been using the anonymous resident's house for some sort of shelter and were hoping they'd be able to stay longer. Since the video trails off, there's not much we can know. Except wherever these aliens are, they're probably not going to get caught now. The Black Knight Orbit. Here's a glance at the Black Knight, the extraterrestrial satellite that has allegedly been stalking the Earth for decades, and yet, for some reason, NASA won't reveal its identity or probe into it. But it looks like the satellite crossed the boundaries this time, getting in the way of one of the Earth's satellites and accidentally being recorded. This footage was released by an anonymous whistleblower, and let's just be thankful, because if something like this is truly out there and NASA's covering up, we'll have to figure out how to handle alien contact ourselves. Fever Dream. A couple of weeks ago, residents in Ohio woke up to see something ablaze slowly sauntering across the sky. Its appearance initially made them think this was some sort of rocket debris, but when they checked online, there hadn't been any activity in the area for quite a while, and here's where we get the clearer picture. As it got closer and closer to the surface, this strange object seemed to be splitting open, as if it were about to transform into something even stranger. While that didn't happen, the slightest movement is enough to tell us this is something out of this world. Crystal Cove. A group of teenagers, while exploring a cave in Mexico, stumbled upon something straight out of a sci-fi movie. An odd creature lurked in the shadows, and even stranger, there were patches of grass growing in the depths of the cave. The teens wondered if they had stepped into some hidden magical world. Maybe the creature was cultivating the grass for food. Despite being in this dark, damp space, it looked surprisingly healthy. Fortunately for them, it didn't seem to notice them nearby. Otherwise, who knows what might have happened. Sub Rosa creature.
Okay, that's weird.
A hiker managed to capture this alien, and although this video lasts for only a short few seconds, it's enough to tell us all there is to aliens. Perhaps this alien parked its UFO somewhere in the forest, not expecting it'd be accidentally captured on camera. Or maybe it's been prowling the area for a long time and is simply hunting for food. But if there's one thing that's for sure, it's that I won't be going anywhere near a forest again.
Okay, that's weird.
Gray alien? The Greys, or Zeta Reticulans, are extraterrestrial beings with tall limbs, a lanky figure, and rounded heads. Alien experts speculate the Zeta Reticulans are sensitive to sunlight, which is why we don't see them out and about during the day. But since this one was photographed recently, it has caused quite the ruckus. People think this Gray was finally able to overcome its generational weakness, or it's an entirely different species. This was last seen in Tarija, Bolivia. Since then, people have been on the lookout for the Zeta Reticulans but haven't unearthed anything. Open discussion. More than a decade ago, a tourist managed to capture a UFO-like object hurtling toward a river in Russia and slamming into it. As it triggered gigantic waves, the tourist and other eyewitnesses were forced to pay attention, thinking it had crash-landed. However, seconds later, the same aircraft was seen quickly dashing it. Although this happened years ago, the Russian UFO is still a big mystery. Locals can't help but wonder if it was escaping from perhaps a much scarier or larger UFO and accidentally found its way here. But the idea of creatures that scare even the aliens doesn't sound so comfortable.
Давай, вали отсюда!